Not from the cool side, okay?
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jack. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. It looks like I'm breaking a little bit, so let's take a short break. Let me adjust.
Morning come, I open my eyes. Empty stomach, empty pot, empty sky. I walk the whole water side looking for work. Sun burning my back, pain burning my heart. My children crying, Papa, we hungry, but my two hands got nothing. God, you hear me? Even Lapa be door. I can't afford the cheapest thing in town. I can't afford. What kind of life is this? What kind of road? Every day I carry this unbearable load. Hey, hard time.
Again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Focus on Liberia Friday Night Debate. My name is Dennis Jack, and we're broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia. In this edition of Focus on Liberia Friday Night Debate, West Africa is buzzing with three major developments. First, the Makona River tension between Liberia and Guinea, a border incident that escalated into a diplomatic standoff. What triggered it? Who mishandled it? And what does that reveal about the Meno River fragile stability? Second, Councillor Tiawonse Gonglo has issued a stern warning. If any president interferes with investigations or shields wrongdoer, that president should face impeachment. Does the Makona River incident risk becoming a constitutional test for the Boakai administration? Third, in a stunning twist, CAF has overturned the AFCON final, stripping Senegal of the title and awarding the trophy to Morocco. The continent is divided. Fans are furious. Administrators are defending the rules. What does that say about governance and fairness in African institutions? And finally, as our Muslim brothers and sisters celebrate the end of Ramadan, we say Happy Eid Mubarak. But we ask a deeper national question. Liberia is one of the most religious countries in Africa. But does our faith translate into ethical behavior and good governance? Let me welcome first Mr. J. Victor Nawe. He is a political analyst and he's on a mission to audit the legislature now. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. It is good to be with you guys. Happy Friday to you. Happy first day of spring as well. This is Friday night debate. This is where we come and put the issues on the table. It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. Let me also welcome the political bulldog, as soon as here. Munasir, welcome, sir.
Dennis, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Friday night debate is the place to be to debate the issues and the topics you got listed there. They are very significant topics, and I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation and debate around them. It's good to be here. Let's do this.
Thank you. Let me take off my jacket because it's going to be hot. Let me also welcome Mr. Abdullah Bwaka Dukle, the man. He doesn't use the Dukle name too much, the Bwaka name too much now, since the yellow machine came. But welcome, Mr. Dukle.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to a very good debate.
Let me also welcome Mrs. Alice Wilson Mumba. She's the only female here tonight, and we got to treat her with everything we got so she can stay. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you, Dennis. Always a pleasure being here. Look forward to a great debate tonight.
Great. We're at a place, when Alice go there, when they're looking for seat for the women, they don't look for seat for Alice. They say she with the boys. So let me welcome Mr. Dr. Jones Otavius Mali, aka PRO. He's a senior educational analyst on our sister network, LPR TV. Welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you, moderator. I just want to welcome the rest of my panelists. And to add a little appendix to that, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to Sie and Ja for elevating the broadcast wing of Focus on Africa. It's impressive, educative, and I just want to thank you for that. And it's like I'm one of your faithful followers on our broadcast wing.
Thank you, we appreciate you. Again, say welcome, and to all our Muslim brothers, we say, happy end of Ramadan. I know you fasted all the time. Anyway, I don't want to go there. But let's begin tonight with what's happening at the Liberian border. I want us to take time to first what actually happened, to walk through the events at the Liberia-Guinea border. Let me start with you, Mr. C. You reported on this issue. So my first question here is, going through the border, walk us through the trigger. What exactly happened at Makona River, and why did this routine road construction activity turn into a border crisis? What really happened? Let's go around the room. Anything that you know.
Dennis, thank you. We have been following the reports. It is clear now, based on all the reports that we've read, and Focus on Liberia has also done, that there is a mining activities going on there at the border, at the Makana River there. And as the mining continues, it seems to be moving on the side of Guinea. And Guinea recognizing that the borderline is not only for Liberia and some of the mining activities going on there, going on the Guinea side, they decided to find a way to put stop to it. And that is how the tension there started at the border. So Guinea, through its security forces, decided to come to Liberia, on the side of Liberia, to make a statement that, look, you need to stop, because this mining that is going on here is not only happening on your side, but you are coming on our side, and we are not sure if the authorities here were informed about the mining activities that is happening here. So that's why I brought about the tension. And A lot of young people in the 4-year era where the mining activities going on, not understanding to what was happening when they saw the presence of the Guinean security forces. They felt that it was like an attack on Liberia. And so they being used and feeling that, Guinean security forces were kind of encroaching on Liberian soil. They decided to stand up for their country, as they felt that they were standing for their country. One important aspect of this, Dennis, is that there is a major accusation here. And that major accusation has been placed at the leg of the current Minister of Local Government, the Honorable Francis Yimale, that he is engaged into mining activity along the border, and that what is bringing this tension. As we speak, this is an allegation. It has not been independently verified by Focus on Liberia, but this is something many people are saying is actually what's happening. So, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me go to Alice also. Alice, as of today, do you have a sense of what triggered the incident for which the Guinea army left and they said planted their flag on the Liberian soil? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To be honest with you, Dennis, every information that I got about what caused the problem was later on obtained through the social media. I was waiting for the government to explain through the statement to the nation, but I did not get the etiology of the saga that is going on. But then, reading from one thing to another on social media, fingers started pointing to two people. A guy in Lofa who people say came from across in Guinea, who lived in Guinea. I think he's from Guinea originally, but then he's in Liberia at the same time. Other people pointed at him, other people pointed at the local government. So between these two people, I don't really know who is actually responsible. But mainly, I expect to get a clear understanding from the nation or the president of Liberia to the nation what is actually going on, who started what, who knew what. All of that is important. And maybe tonight we're going to discuss that to get a clear understanding who started what and what is going to be done about it. Because the nation, actually myself feel like the nation was threatening. Trying to blame people that we should not be blaming, but then they meet people that are responsible. I don't know whether they are being shielded. So we still have to dig deeper.
Thank you. Mr. Nawe, I believe you watched the president's statement to the nation around the border issue, right? We also learned that somebody was shot, a Liberian, who was maybe playing the role to try to defend the economy. Somebody was shot. Do you know the name of that person? And did you hear from the president about that individual? And from watching the speech, can you tell now what actually happened?
No, unfortunately, Dennis, I don't know the name of that person, and I don't think it was in the president's message. I listened to the message. I think there were a lot of things that were missing in that message. As Alice and Anthony have said, everything we know about what happened is based on conjecture. The government has no formal official explanation of what happened. Even though in the government statement they mentioned BK mining, that was just mentioned in passing. The president, yes, we understand there was some mining activity happening on this river. I think the initial Minister of Internal Affairs was dispatched at the head of the delegation because we understand the mining equipment had been seized by the Guineans. He went there and came back empty-handed, and then the president followed with a very high-powered delegation, and they came back They said nothing. Jeremy Pierre, who is a minister of information, he came up with a two-pager. It is in that document that we're being informed that BK mining operations have been put to a halt. And so then that kind of filling the gaps in the narrative around that this was based on the mining that was being done by BK on the river. So it looks to us like all of this that's happening between Liberia and Guinea has nothing to do with territorial encroachment, other than the fact that the Guineans want their cut of whatever it is that these people are mining under this river. And I think the government knows. And as I will pass it back on, let me first say, happy Eid Mubarak to my Muslim brothers and sisters who are celebrating the end of Ramadan. But we believe that the government has still to come and explain to us what is happening. The president's statement was empty. I think we'll talk about that later on. I think the president's presentation really left more questions than answers. So I'm sorry. I heard about a shooting at the border, but I think I may have read in some local daily, but it was not contained. I didn't hear it in the president's message.
Yeah. And let me also say that the press secretary clarified that it has nothing to do with mining. That anything to do with mining is false and misleading. Mr. Ducle, how do you assess the president's or the government handling of this situation? And why you think, what does that say about President Bouaka if and the government if somebody was shot in this process and we don't even know their name?
Well, Dennis, look, this border dispute or this border incident is far more serious than people think, and even though this time around they are saying that it was triggered by mining, whatever it was, but that might have been the reason this time. But it's far more deeper than that. It's far more dangerous than what we have seen so far. And I think the government has to handle it with the seriousness that it deserves. Because look, I don't know if any of you follow. Guinea had similar situation with Sierra Leone about a month or two ago, when they encroached territory that was guarded by Sierra Leonean soldiers, almost identical to what they did in Salumba. They overran the Sierra Leonean. As a matter of fact, they even apprehended Sierra Leonean soldiers that were guarding that area. And so Guinea does have a territorial ambition in that area, focusing on the fact that the border ambiguity that exists, because when the French left, there was no formal demarcation that determines where is Liberia and where is Sierra Leone. Whatever that is there right now is based on what people on both sides determine to be the border. And so Guinea seized on that. And, not only did they encroach, they actually crossed to the side that is recognized to be Liberia's territory. They actually went there and put their flag there. So again, if care is not taken, if this problem is not handled with the seriousness that it deserves, it can lead to far more worse than what we have seen so far. And so don't kid yourself. Guinea does have a territorial ambition in that region. And that area is not too far from a place called Gegedu on the Guinean side of the border. From Gegedu, you go to Kisidu. And so that area is known to have a lot of minerals, natural resources. And so what you saw Guinean do there is just a prelude to what they actually plan to do further. So like I said, I did mention what they did in Sierra Leone not too long ago. It's exactly what they've come to do in Liberia. And so the Liberian government needs to treat this problem with the seriousness that it deserves, because if not, it's going to get out of hand. And I don't know if any of you saw the video where the Liberian on the Liberian side, people have already fled their villages, their towns, and they've all gone to Foya because the Guineans are trying to reinforce their presence on the Liberian side, at least the informal Liberian side as we know it. So then, I think, and the speech that Joseph Boakai gave left us with so many questions with fewer answers. And so, really, my reading of it is that I think it's about time that we revisit this demarcation that need to be done and follow through so that we can once and for all put an end to this skirmishes that is happening.
Thank you. Dr. Malik, what is your own take on what's happening at the border?
Well, I think from all intents and purposes, Guinea has become the formidable protagonist in the border drama. But widespread opinion in Monrovia suggests otherwise. And I will want to take my compact in the direction of Mr. Nangbe, that I don't really see it as an invasion. I want to agree, even though I don't have all the facts, that the issue of mining might have triggered what has happened. And this is because the African leaders, most of them, if not all of them, their eyes are always red when it comes to mineral resources, rather than capturing empty land for the sake of capturing empty land. So I want to go the direction of senior brother Nangwe, that there's a need for us to look into, because the fact of the matter here is that this is a river. If any party will want to participate in this river or drill this river or went to the river for something, the two parties will have to agree. The two countries will have to agree. They have to come to one understanding. What do we want to do? So when one party encroach on the river and there's this unconfirmed rumor that people were looking for diamond and gold and resources, and other people decided to carry propaganda across to the other side, that's very concerning. But sometimes in conflict resolution, if you don't identify the root cause of a problem, it becomes difficult to solve the problem. So even in the president proclamation to the nation, I noticed the root cause for which he and his delegation went to Guinea was conspicuously absent. So that left mass of the Liberian suggesting through romance and other things, that this is the cause. This is until we can identify what led to this thing, we are not going nowhere. And the government still has the mantle to come back to the Liberian people and really say this thing. And so even the issue of Tiawan Gongolo, personal assessment, that investigation is needed, I agree with you 100%. Thank you.
Elvis, let me hear from you. Is Guinea testing Liberia's resolve, or is this simply the latest flag up in a long history of poorly demarcated border?
All right, thank you, Mr. John, and hello to my fellow panelists. Look, I think we have to put the blame on the thug that is Mamadi Doumbouya in Guinea. He's an absolute thug. He's somebody who took power by force. All he knows is brute force, and he's exhibiting that with his neighbors. Like Mr. Duque said, both Sierra Leone and Liberia has fallen into the trap of the Guinean aggression, and that should be the focal point here. Because if you don't respect the territorial integrity of your neighbors, you're going to think that you can take their land by brute force. And I think, like you said, Mr. Jai, this brings a spotlight on how do we enforce our borders. Most people enforce it just through international norms. This is recognized as Liberia, that's recognized as Guinea, and because of that, people tend to respect those demarcated imaginary demarcations. So I think Liberia now has to probably put active border patrol on those contested border spots, especially there with Lofa County and Guinea, and maybe even the area in Ganta. I think the place in Ganta and Guinea also has to be heavily guarded now. But that's one of the problems of neglecting your people and your police force, because we probably don't even have the areas where police border patrols people can live in those towns and have a reasonable life to be stationed there permanently. We haven't built anything, like a depot or barracks, along those border areas. But the fault here lies with Dumboya. He is a thug. That's why we don't support any military regime, especially to people who are, I hate to say it, but people who are of a gangster mindset. And everybody knows in the region, perhaps Ivory Coast to a lesser degree, Guinea has the strongest military within our, in the Minor River Union there. And they are trying to flex their muscle, and usually more diplomatic people and more, learned and educated people who knows how the world works and how the world order, operates. They wouldn't take these steps. They wouldn't be so brute and aggressive to their neighbors. But this guy, Sierra Leone has made the same complaints that he's greedy. He's somebody who wants to take everything and usurp everything, by brute force, and nothing we can do about it. And I think that should be the issue, because if there was an issue on the border, the first thing a sound president would do would send communication through the diplomatic channels and make sure that the central government in Liberia knows what's going on, and they're lodging an official complaint, and that maybe the government of Liberia need to go there and investigate before things escalate. That's how responsible people behave. So this is a problem with how the president responded, and everybody's putting this on the president head as if to say the president was the catalyst of this issue. He's not. The Guinean president, the Guinean authority are the ones who aggressed, and Liberia did nothing wrong. Those brave people in that town who stood up for the country, my hat goes off to them. They're true patriots. But we shouldn't blame Liberia here. We were not the aggressor. He didn't go through the rightful channel to try to resolve this issue. He went there with military force, and he aggressed on Liberia territory. That's the crux of the issue.
Let's look at the way, Mr. C. Let's further break down, what is going on here, and what is the possible resolution. I mean, what do we see going forward? We saw that the president went to Guinea, they met. Details of that story, we got it, but it's not the nitty gritty. I mean, what do you see ahead?
Then obviously it will be resolved. And the resolution I'm talking about is that whatever Guinea did to cross the border, and other accounts said they planted the Guinea flag. I've seen video and pictures of the flag being planted. As people mentioned, they planted their flag on the Liberian side of the border. And that is going to stop. You talk about President Bouaka making a trip there. Yeah, President Bouaka made the trip there, and when he returned, there was report that the Guinean, they crossed and came to Liberia again, and some people started fleeing the area. But it's obvious that Khan has returned, as Khan had returned, when it first happened. Eventually, that will calm down. But the reality here is that is not the resolution that these two countries, as responsible countries and governments, should be able to bring to bear. The most responsible thing to do is to resolve the thing first diplomatically, and then try to see how they can go back to the records, and that demarcation can be done. If this is not done, the fact that it has happened, possibility it might happen again. And so what will be a much better resolution to this is for the two countries to work together to see how the lines of demarcation are drawn, and that both parties agree.
Let me interrupt you a little bit. Are we sure that this have to do with land dispute? If you say, okay, this part belongs to me, or this part belongs to you, is that the issue?
And then we don't know for a fact, and there are reasons to believe that is part of it. Like it was reported, and we reported also, mining might have been one of the reasons that triggered this tension, right? And in the government statement, there is a mining company that they told to start operation. Other accounts said, some of the mining equipment were confiscated by the Guinean authority. And one person I continue to mention who was accused is the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Francis Yumale. And Jefferson Koji directly accused him. And when I think Front Page Africa reached out to him, or he said, go and tell Koji, no comment. And he was on a delegation. And as I look at the pictures and watch the video at the time they were there, his face he was not a happy man, as though he didn't want to be there. And the government is on an obligation, Dennis, to tell us what happened. It shouldn't be difficult for them to tell us, because we saw Guinean soldiers cross. We saw Liberians who were there, who saw the Guinean soldiers planting. I mean, accounts have been narrated. The government should be responsible enough. The police even went there. I think I saw some police officers. I think our immigration officers even went there. So there should be a lot of information gathered that should be compiled for the government of Liberia to tell us exactly what happened, what triggered it. I agree with Mr. Namwe. I don't think this is an encroachment. This is a fight for territory. That is not that. It's just from the money thing. That is my theory. That's why I want to believe. That's what started this. But again, this is information that will be verified, and the person that can do that must be the Liberian government. And it's sad that up to this time, they are not telling us the true story.
I think it's evident by you planting a flag on another sovereign nation's land that is of our land. How can we say it's not of our land? That's how the old empires claim land. They go into a place, they plant a flag and say, in the name of the queen or the king, we claim this land to be an extension of our territory. That's exactly what they're doing. It's just so simple.
And Evers, I understand what you're saying, but the land, the border is disputed. The border is not defined. I'm not sure both countries agree what exactly the border is. All right. So it's another person, another side saying that, well, this is for us, and planting a flag. So, and that's what I said, that look, the major resolution to this is for the two countries to work diplomatically to reach an agreement that, look, this will be the border, this will be the line of demarcation, this place is Liberia, this place is Guinea. And until we can do that, there's a possibility this might happen, as Mr. Douglas said earlier. It happened on the Sierra Leonean side. Now it's happening on the Liberian side. Maybe this has happened before in the past. I don't know. And it may happen again until, the line of demarcation that is drawn and agreed upon by the two countries and respected.
Yeah, if I might just interject quickly. Anthony, you see, maybe on our side, on the Liberian side, we might not see it as a land dispute, but I can tell you for sure on the Guinean side, they are seeing it as a territorial dispute, and they are trying to lay claim to what they think is theirs. Focusing on the fact that there is no proper demarcation as to where the former boundaries is. So again, that might be the result of the way our government is presenting it to us. It doesn't seem like it's a land dispute, but on the Guinean side, definitely the way they are presenting themselves. As a matter of fact, even after the visit of the president, there is still significant Guinean military presence in the disputed area as we speak.
And that brings me to Councillor Tiawansi Gonglo, Victor. Councillor Gonglo he wrote and also had an appearance where he said, this is what we are hearing. The government is not really telling us what it is. And so we want President Bouakai to investigate, and whoever is responsible, that person should be punished, either by firing or persecution. Councillor Gongo also threatened that if President Bouakai does not investigate swiftly and decisively, that will be, like he is part of it. He is either, he knows about it, he's complicit with it, or something else. And if that happens, he's going to lead impeachment against the president.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound...
Does Councillor Gongro have a point here, or this is political posturing?
Well, I'm not going to judge his point, Dennis, but I'm going to react to what he's saying. And I think his statement suggests to me that there is some understanding of what may have led to this. You cannot hold anybody responsible for another person trying to encroach upon their land. So if Councillor Gonglo is saying, whoever is found to be responsible for this should be brought, I think it's quite clear. I understand the argument that Elvis is making. Yes, I think the Guineans may have overreached by, planting flags, markers on our land. I get that. But I think the initial, the genesis of this problem, I don't think it had to do with land taking. I think these people demanded what they thought was coming out of this river at first, and they weren't getting it. I think Yamali went there, and he went there to talk sweet talk, and they told him no, and so go and get your president. And I think the president went and also tried to arm twist young Dumbuya, and Dumbuya was not satisfied. I mean, again, I am free to revel in my conjecture until my government can come out and formally tell me what the problem is. And from all indications, it does not appear to me like this was any attempt to take Liberian land. And I think Councilor Gongo is right about what he's saying. There is some kind of thing that we're doing under the road that precipitated the Guineans coming. Yes, they may have come disproportionate to what is happening, but that's because they're angry. And that's how I interpret that. I think they're angry because I think they know that Yomali and Fala and others are profiting from this river enormously. I mean, you see the machines, the photos of the machine that the journalists are showing. Those are not machines that just go out and bring out sand. I think they're doing deep water diving. They're doing a whole lot of stuff. So I think the Guineans know what is happening, and I think they initially wanted the Liberians to come forth and talk to them as neighbors who share the same border. And I think our guys are playing hardball. As always, we are very greedy. We want everything for ourselves. And to talk about Guinea encroaching on land, Elvis, Guinea shared border with 6 countries, including Liberia, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Mali, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau. Why are they not going to this country if they're so anxious to go and encroach on other people's land? I don't think this has anything to do with land taking. I disagree with that. With this. I agree with you that I think they may have overdone it, but I don't think that was the initial intent to come and take land.
Moderator,
What you thought the intention is, if it is not land?
I think the intention is that these people got wind of what is happening on this Makoma River, and I think they may have made representation to the government of Liberia to say, look, we know this river belongs to the two of us. We see a lot of activity going on there. What is it that you guys are doing? We want to share in it. I mean, that's how I see it playing out. And they said no, because remember, they didn't just come to take land. They seized the equipment. That was the first thing they did. They seized the equipment and took it to Guinea. Nyamale went for the equipment and came back empty-handed. And then the president went also and came back. After that, they issued this flowery communique where everybody, holding something like participation trophy or something, whatever they were. But obviously, they went there and did not resolve the problem. So yeah, I think this has nothing to do with land grabbing. I don't think so.
Okay, quickly, Mr. John.
Hold on, Alex. How should Liberians respond to this? I saw on social media some are kind of saying President Bouaka is talking diplomacy. Some are saying we want to show some force, because when it first happened, this is a border something. It is not a law enforcement issue, but President Bouaka sent police and immigration people, right? I was expecting war tanks. But anyway, how should Liberians respond? I saw another Liberian, people are trying to say, hey, let's collect $5 each so that we can beef up our army. Some say, hey, we are all interconnected. You find the same Kisi people at both ends of the sides of the border. So what should we do? How should we respond to this kind of thing?
I think if you're asking me, then I think diplomacy, yes, but I think the president's brand of democracy right now, I think it falls short of what is necessary. How is it somebody coming to your house and put a slap in your ear, and then you go in their house and say, let's make peace? If the president wants to engage in diplomacy, he has to find the levels. He has to find the levels that have bearing on Dumbuya. Go to Paul Kigame in Rwanda, who we understand is very good friends with Dumbuya. Or go to Macron. If you can't get to Macron, go to George Weah and ask him to go to Macron. I think there are ways this president can exert quiet diplomacy, diplomatic, short of diplomacy. But I think what he did there to me, it weakened his position. If we're going to say the people aggress us, they enter our country and took our land, then you go to Conakry to go and do what? And do what? And to go and beg him? So now you went there and you prostrated yourself, you begged him, you came back with nothing. In fact, when you came back, he increased his presence at the border. What does that suggest to you? So I think that kind of diplomacy, to me, I don't think that is the kind of diplomacy that will resolve this matter. I think it needed to go. Look, we're on the Security Council. We have to make it worth something. We're a member of ECOWAS. We're a member of the AU. We're in a Monroe Union. Yeah, he took President Bio. I don't know, Mother Bio. But I think he needed to find who has the most influence on the Guinean president. I think that's where he needs to go, in my opinion.
Alice?
Alice, you muted.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Alice. Yeah, Alex, how should Liberia respond to this?
So every sickness, before you treat it, you have to know what kind of sickness is that. Guineans left their country and came to Liberia to collect equipment because, according to them, there were mining going on. Now the equipment are still in Guinea. So why did they cross the river to come and plant their flag on Liberian soil? I think the government of Liberia need to really ask Guinea what the problem is, because then they will be able to address it. Because online, most of the videos that I look at, people from Guinea are saying the land is for Guinea. So now it's not even mining anymore to some of them, or maybe to most of them, because the president gave order that he will make sure he claim all land that belongs to Guinea. And that's why he's doing. Why we thinking it is because of the mining or the sand digging, he might be taking something else. And I'm not sure what was discussed when they went to Guinea, because when they left from Guinea, he even brought more people to Liberia and had the citizens of that village. Some of the videos I saw, the citizens will have to access security before they go to their home to pick up things. We are not at war. So why is he doing that? Until we understand what is his motive, if we know that he thinks that the piece of land is being contested, then we know how to deal with this. But why some people thinking that, oh, maybe because of the mining, well, maybe that might not be the reason. The man wants to take that portion of the land and cross the river and take the land, remove Liberian flag, and put his flag. That's being overly ambitious and lack of respect for a neighbor. But since we do not know, the government is not open enough to tell us what the problem is. If he tells the Liberian people what the problem is, then maybe people will make suggestions, because online I saw that people should collect money and pay the AFL to increase the manpower. This guy might think that Liberia don't have army because they always flying that border unchecked. So they know the problem we have in Liberia, there's no security. And he's taking advantage of that. It is still not late for people to find out from him, maybe through a third party, to understand what is his motive. If he thinks the land is for him, then now we will be ready to contest who really owns the land. And I don't agree with people going to the table to see where the boundary is. We already have a map. Liberia already has a deal. The deed that Liberia had for that land, we still have it. That was before Guinea. So if you already bought a home, and the second person is coming to buy the home, he's not going to go again and make demarcation with the neighbor that has been there for years. Doesn't make any sense. So he's not going to take advantage of Liberia because he feels we don't have military. But again, it is time that we fortify our military, so the disadvantage will come, because you cannot do that to other countries. First of all, because you think they speak French, or they have they have other things in common that he doesn't have in common with Liberia. That's why he's taking advantage. But until we understand what the problem is, it will be difficult to solve it. And then where I'm a little bit, I can't say I'm disappointed, but I did not really understand, the address to the nation did not carry what caused the problem. If we think that it was the mining, you need to find out from Guinea what they think. Why do they think they went to the across the border on the Liberia side? Let them state their own reasons. Then you will judge between what the problem is, because they are the aggressors.
Oh, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Molly.
Yes, I beg to differ a little bit with Mr. Ducle and Elvis. I think there's a little logic. We need to play around some little logic here. Why did the Guinean, when they crossed the river is the boundary, been there for a very long time. Why the Guinean did not take the flare to Foya City to claim a large portion of land? Why they did not take the flare and go plant it to the far north adjacent Sierra Leone? Why they did not even take the flare to carry even close to Nima? They placed the flare right by the river, right within our vicinity, that symbolizes this mining thing. That's a case for concern, all right? Because if I want to take land, I don't think I'm going to take a kitchen-sized land. No, I don't think so. But because of that mining situation, I strongly want to believe they decided to position their flare right there. But then the question now is, if this delegation went to Guinea, what was the Guinean president boon of contention? We don't know the boon of contention. We are all just...
You don't know.
Okay? Then the second thing now is, the president went there. Like the moderator just said, they had a symbol of peace. I mean, they paraded peace symbol all around them. Fine, that's a good thing. But what is the message? So I don't really want to believe Guinea really wanted to take land. Guinea wanted to make sure where that mining started, the flare was placed right around that particular terrain. They would have taken it to Foya and cleaned up a Foya. Okay? So I don't want to believe the issue is about land. No, it's about that particular mining sector, that mining area. And I agree with Alice. We are sovereign state. If anything going on, a responsible government should be able to communicate with another responsible government and say, look, this is what's happening. I noticed this thing. I don't want to send my troop down there. We don't want any havoc around here. I think that's what should have happened. Rather than sending your soldier to enforce something and the civilian also to risk to go to that place. You see, that would have been a massacre down there. You see, so it's like try to downplay our sovereignty. It's a political aspect of the border crisis. I need to be looked into seriously. But as Madam Alice said, we don't know the ramification or the dynamics of this whole thing. We are just talking as intellectuals. But the government will have to really tell us what was discussed in that room, what was the boon of contention from this Guinean president.
I think we can extrapolate that, Malik.
He had snappers all in the trees. Is that because of mining?
And then one of the kids were even shot.
Shot! That was very aggressive.
Can I come in now?
Let's look at the root cause now. If the government itself is mentioning BK, you tell me, Dr. Malik, how does BK company, how does it play into this whole thing? You take the BK company and tell me how it relates to land encroachment. I want you to make that make sense to me.
Can I come in, please? I don't know Mr. Johnson.
Go ahead. There's a scenario, there's a widespread opinion all over Morovia that BK did not go for sand. BK was mining.
No, it doesn't contain in the government statement. It said sand mining and other mining activities. You should read the statement.
Okay, let me.
Limit PM.
Okay, Mr. Nambo, let me say this.
Limiting to land.
Okay, Dr. Malik, let me say this, please.
Yeah.
Look, I hate to use the word, but we have to stop being cowards. We're not a people. We're not a country of cowards where if somebody is trying to bully us, we tuck our tail between our leg and we capitulate to them. We have share river rights. It means that if we can mine, if we can fish, if we can use that river for transportation, so can Guinea. That's what it means. So if we're mining on the river, Guinea is not the mafia boss to come and tell me, well, I need my cut of that mining that you're doing. That's not how it works. If we're mining on our
You
land,
got it,
one
no, you
second,
got
Mr.
it
Number,
wrong. You got it
one
wrong.
second, please, sir.
Hold on, now wait.
Did you look at the
I
document? The
disagree.
two countries have to agree on what is being done
Course.
to that river.
Yes.
I'm not just talking. I read this. You
Yeah,
should go and read it.
yeah,
There's an agreement that exists
Hold on, Mr.
for the
Nawe,
use
let
of
me
that
finish.
river.
Because
right.
Guinea is also because there's something about headwaters. So Guinea is
Yes,
trying to say we own this water because it comes from Guinea.
exactly. We only
It's the
do.
same way and this is a deeper historical issue, right? Because that's why Liberia right now is at this risk because your water that is flowing in your country. So the original boundaries cover those headwaters, like the St. John, right here in Bosu. When you go to Guinea, St. John, you can just jump over it. So what countries do is you don't allow any other country, a foreign country, to control that headwater because they can close it, and then we have no St. John River in Liberia. So Guinea is claiming the same thing about the Makona River. Go ahead, Alice. I wanted to add that.
All right. So again, I mean, we have international agreements, international, norms. If this is a situation where Guinea, for example, have the right and they control the river, and Liberia can only use that river, but through their, acquiescence. That's one thing, right? But if a river runs through a country, no way in the world you tell me that before I go and fish in that river, before I go and do anything in that river, I have to ask for permission from another, sovereign country. Doesn't make sense. I'm not familiar with the document you're talking about, but it doesn't make sense on any international level that in your sovereign, territory, you have to ask for permission from another country to go in there and investigate or search for resource within that river. I don't think that's even
If the river is between the two countries, and that forms the boundary. So right
right.
there,
So what does it mean?
at that spot, do we divide the river into two to say this side of the river
That
is yours and that side is mine?
and that's what I'm saying. Liberia is not doing that. Liberia is not saying if Guinea is mining in the river or on the river bench, they should share whatever Guinea is getting from that mining operation. But on the other side, like a bully, like a mafia person, he's telling Mr. Nabo is making the case that Guinea wants their share of the mining that's going on in the river. I said to say we will work, get the mine, whatever minerals out of there, and then go to Guinea. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's your 25%. Yeah, it's your 50%. It doesn't make sense to us as an independent nation. That's the point that I'm making. Doesn't make sense. My point here is Guinea can mine as much as they want. If they think Liberia is finding something in the river, they have access to the river. Like you said, we share the river. Get your equipment, go mine on your side of the bed, and get whatever material minerals you can get from it, and it's yours. Same thing with Liberia. So why should we go and pay them a tribute for mining in the river? River are naturally occurring things. If it's in your territory, it's yours. If it's not, it belongs to the person's in the territory that is running through. Like the Nile River, we had an issue with Egypt and Sudan and other places. But once the river is running in your country, you have access to that river free and clear. But my last point here is let's not put the blame back on the Liberian government. I've been critical of this government, but this is not an issue that President Boyka is at fault for. The only thing here is, what happened in 2005 or 2003 when we got out of war, where we started, to join our military, make it a more professional military with less than maybe around 2,000 or 3,000, enlisted men. It's really not a military. It's almost like a peacekeeping force. It's not a military that can, assert itself on any other country or even, protect the borders of our country. That's why I think that Liberian people are right that we need to beef up our military now. What is the agreement with the United States and the United Nations about, expanding our military? Because I think with the coup and the war, maybe we're skeptical and afraid that it might be another military coup if we beef up our military again. But I think the issue here is Dumbuya. He's an issue. Before this happened to Liberia, Sierra Leone was complaining the same way. Sierra Leone has a weak military. The guy went in there and bullied Sierra Leone. That's why Matabia was there. Not because he was going to escort President Boyka, because he have a similar issue with the president of Guinea. So my point here is, this is an aggressor. He's acting like a bully to the two weakest country within the Minor River Union and perhaps within West Africa. He's bullying us. That's what's going on. And we either need to go to an international remedy or a regional body and find a remedy for this situation. But we can't sit here and capitulate and say, well, he's right. We shouldn't mind the river because the river coming from Guinea, or Guinea have right over the river more than we do. That's not how it works. If it's in our territory, we have a right to do anything. We can fish, we can travel on that river, we can dig for sale on that river bank. It's in our country.
So what you just did
And
there
you'll be
is
right if we
double
do what
speak,
happened.
right? Elvis,
Let me bring in the let's wrap up you and Sunny on the Gonglo factor. He's talking about impeachment. Does he have a point here? Is this issue going to complicate it more and escalate tensions? If you're talking about President Bouacar, or is it going to be able to put pressure on President Bouacar to be a little more transparent as to what's going on and how it can be addressed?
I mean, I listened to Councillor Gongolo's statement, but I think what Councillor Gongolo is trying to convey to us is that we need to look at it with the seriousness that it is, and I think that's what Gongolo is trying to reveal to us here. And I just wanted to push back a little bit on what Brother Nagbe said earlier. Listen, if you cross, Liberia does have several border points, border crossing with Guinea. This is just one of them. And none of those border crossings are in dispute. Liberia has a border crossing in Bon County. They have it in Nimba County. There's no dispute there because those borders are clearly demarcated and they are recognized for the demarcation that they are there. And so Guinea also has a border with Guinea-Bissau. There's no dispute there because the border there are clearly demarcated and is recognized. The maps there is clear. The same thing to Mali. Guinea does have border with Mali. Myself, I personally traveled that area. I've seen the border, how it looks like. There's no dispute there. The same thing in with Senegal. Those areas are clearly demarcated. It's on the map. It's recognized. There's no problem there. The same with Ivory Coast, with Guinea. There's no problem there. The only problem is because this particular border crossing is mineral rich. It's mineral rich. And Guinea think that they can bully their way and seize it from Liberia, capitalizing on the ambiguity that exists there. Yeah, there's map. Even the map that Liberia has, the map does not clearly define where the border is. And so, to Gongolo's point, we need to approach the Guinean government and tell them, look, we need to take this into, if need be, to international arbitration as it's usually done. There are international bodies that are responsible for these disputes that can settle these disputes for once and for all. But you need to, like I said, you need to treat this crisis for what it is. It is a territorial encroachment on Liberia, and the only reason why the Guineans are trying to claim it is because they have now seen that the Liberian side is mining more than just sand. They are mining other minerals that are there, and they think that these minerals belong to them. And so I don't know how you can even make the argument this is not about land. I mean, it's for the land and it's for the resources that is on the land. I mean, how else can we interpret this? Guinea did the same thing to Sierra Leone. It was for the same reason. That part of Sierra Leone that the Guineans were fighting for, the one that they arrested Guinean Sierra Leonean soldiers, it's a mineral-rich territory. What Sierra Leone has multiple border crossings with Guinea. Why are they not disputing other areas but that particular area? Again, it speaks to how we need to put our diplomatic acts together and treat this problem for the seriousness that it is. Otherwise, it's going to get out of hand. Again, I would like to back the gentleman. What's his name? Elvis here. Look, Mamadou Doumouya's approach. He is taking purely militaristic approach to this problem, and we need to stand up to him. And like I said, we need, if anything, we can escalate this to the appropriate international bodies that are charged with this, settling these kind of disputes. But let's not kid ourselves. Had it not been for this mining, I mean, why is it that all these years we never heard of this kind of flare up as we saw this time around, to the point where they seize the equipment and they look. I said earlier, there are between the people themselves. They have come to recognize what the border is. But that doesn't mean nothing in the international sense because it's not recognized internationally for that area to be the border. And so each side can claim whatever they want. So it's almost like Guinea is trying to flex that muscle here on us.
Mr.
You know?
Ducler, Mr. Ducler,
Yeah.
let me come in here. You are saying, you are ever saying Dumuya is a bully. I don't know if this is what you call bullying. If you look at the military strength of Guinea, if the intention here is to actually bully Liberia, I don't think what we saw is what militarily you will consider a bully or bullying. I don't think so. And the other idea that Eva is saying, hey, Guinea can mine on its side, Liberia can mine on its side, and Liberia can decide, you know, how it is done at whatever time. It doesn't make sense. You're talking about a river we now getting to know has minerals in it, and you share the river. You can't just get out and go mine without alerting the other person. So technically, Eva is telling us that if he and I share a car that is of value, he can just get out and get in the car and go. He doesn't have to consult me to say, well, I'm going somewhere at that particular point in time. You know, he can just take the car. And if you look at the whole situation, that's why the conflict is coming, because it's obvious that people from the Liberian side are doing some money, be it sand money, be it mineral money. It's happening. And the Guineans are not aware. They are not being notified. And it is happening at the border, at the river. You know, we want to believe we share. They needed to know. And so they overreacted and crossed all the way to Liberia. In fact, what they did, they seized the equipment. And they came on the Liberian side and planted their flag. I don't think that is bullying. If they wanted to use military force, I'm glad that they didn't use it. And then I asked a question earlier. How are Liberians responding to this? I hear people saying we need to stand up to these people. How do you want to stand? Militarily? Do you have it to stand against Guinea? With your 2,000 or less foes who are less trained, who are hungry? We need to be smart here. I don't want any soldier to die, let alone any hungry person at the border. No.
What you didn't like? What you didn't? Sorry,
no. As you spoke, they should be addressed with sense and wisdom. I don't see this as Guinea trying to bully us militarily. That is not the case. This is, and let me come to Chawan Gonglo issue. I don't want to wait on the military side.
Mr. Sia, before you go, let me remind you of what Guinea did when they wanted someone who was seeking refuge in Liberia.
Go ahead.
So they came with their jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
they're threatening our government.
Exactly. So that is why we don't have the military strength to engage these people. We don't even have the manpower. So our government,
yeah, so that's why FE says bully. I mean, how do you call that?
For me, anyway, I mean, that's his language. I just disagree, and that's how I see it, right?
But Mr. C, how would you characterize that?
Exactly. He marched and took his people. The president.
How would you characterize a country that comes with an aircraft and grab one of their citizens and take them back? How do you characterize that such an act?
Well, they give us an ultimatum that we either hand the mail over, they're going to invade Liberia.
You see that?
So hold on, one at a time. Let's do this on the floor.
Yeah, let me come to Councillor Gonglo's statement. Councillor Gonglo is well versed. He gets a lot of information. He's not an ordinary Liberian citizen. He's informed. He knows the history.
Yeah.
He is from the northern part of Liberia. He spoke because he had information. And if you listen to his statement, Councillor Gonglo was clear. First, he called on the president to immediately investigate.
Yeah.
I'm calling for investigation. All right. And that if no one is held accountable after an investigation, in fact, he said he volunteered to be on that investigative team. He's asking the president, he's willing to be part of it. And he went to the history. This has never happened before, according to him. And so for our government to fold its hands, obviously he's saying this because he has information that some people are involved into money. That's where the conflict is coming from. And maybe he have reason to believe that some of those people are other government officials, or government official hire some of these people to do this work. And that's why he spoke the way he spoke. That if the president would be complacent, because what they're doing there might threaten the peace of the country.
Yep.
And so he is telling the president, this is serious enough for you to investigate. I have reason to believe that some of your officials are involved and they should be dealt with and dismissed. He used the word dismiss. And if the president does not go far enough after an investigation, he's going to lead an impeachment proceeding against the president, because they has a propensity to bring these two countries into conflict that might lead to serious bloodshed. This is how serious he takes it. And I think he says so because he has serious information that some members of the government are involved either directly or indirectly, maybe through complaints they own. Information is that some of our government, and the whole thing about government officials doing money in Liberia is not new. Blamo Nursing, when he was still like senator in Grand Creek County, had a company in Grand Creek called 2020. We are all Liberians. We have information. There are people in Lofa who know these government actors to be involved in some form of money. Gonglo is not just speaking out of nowhere. He has information that why he spoke the way he did. And I think I agree with him 100%. They should claim the attention of the president. For a foreign country to come, or for your neighbor to come and plant a flag, and there were Evans had a point to say, look, this is like a sign of aggression for you to come and plant your flag. But if they actually meant to take land, I think they would have done it. It was just to say, look, this is too much. We share this river, the resources in it. You cannot continue to mine without our knowledge. And I think that's what they did. What they had
We share Manima with Guinea. When they mine on Manima on that side of or that mountain, you think they can ask for our permission?
No, there's
The mine, I said, please, and we mine I said, let me tell mine on our side as they please. They don't go and tell Guinea, but we technically share that mountain.
I'm not sure you know that, Evans, and I'm not sure it happens like that. I don't think so.
Well, Evans, how do you mine on the side of your river and I mine on my side? How do you do that?
Well, the river has bank, right? The river has two sides. One side is on one side, one side is on the other side, right?
The river, now when you jump in the river, do you say that?
So the point here is, when people say they share, they share a border, for example, or they share, a waterway, it means that one side of that waterway, like if somebody say the water, is a border, is a demarcation zone. Yeah, on the other side of the river is Guinea, on the other side of the river is Liberia, right? So when you say you share that river, it means you have both rights. You have rights to that river. Some people call it water rights or whatever.
Because I want us to move on. So if two of us have that river, how do we get inside the sand and split the sand? So can you be digging on the sand and say, okay, in this river, this is the line, imaginary line, I'm not crossing this line? Or we bring a tip line, measure?
That's the point here, right? If Guinea came and said, well, this mining happened to our, on a geographical area where we recognize as our border. They're taking sand from our land because the river is the boundary, for example, and they crossed the river and came onto the side that we claim to be our land.
The river is the boundary. So do you go in that river and split it? Is that what you're saying?
When you say go in the river, what do you mean? The river itself, like if you're fishing in a river, right? If you share a river with two different towns, both people can go and fish in that river. You can't tell me the fish that you caught is from my side of the river or from the other side of the river. Guinea is not claiming none of that. That's not what they're claiming. People here are telling us that before we do anything in the river, we have to ask for permission from Guinea.
It's not permission. We share the river. So if you're doing mining, it's not like regular fishing, people fishing, right?
But that's the claim that they make. That's the claim Liberians are making. That's not the claim Guinea is making.
You take a machine and you are digging in the water and you're making it contaminated. So we can't drink it because you are in there.
All right. Is that the claim that Guinea made?
No, I'm talking if it is mining.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're trying to say. But like Mr. Dukla said, Guinea knows that area is mineral rich. They know that there's a lot of things, there diamonds and other minerals there. Right. So why can't Guinea go and mine? Why can't they go and mine their own thing there too? If they think that is rich, mine on the river area and mine. Why are they seizing our machines and trying to bully us and say, well, you can mine unless we acquiesce to it? That's bullying. There's no law that said Liberians can mine at that riverbed. Nobody made a law that said we can do it.
I don't think you get the point. But let's go to our next topic, which is the the story that is taking over African football, CAF has overturned the AFCON final. Senegal's 1-0 extra time victory has been nullified. Morocco has been declared the official champion after CAF ruled that Senegal forfeited the match by leaving the pitch in protest during the stoppage time. So the result now is 3-0 in favor of Morocco. Mr. Dukle, was CAF right to apply the rules strictly, or did they undermine the spirit of football by overturning a match decided on the field? Now we are afraid that we will go back to 1992 and take that cup from Africans and give it to Ghana. What do you think?
Well, this thing here is just one more example where we are being made a laughing stock on the international scene. I have been privileged to have been associated with a lot of the decision makers that were in CAF. If you may recall, our CAF is headquartered in Cairo, and so a lot of the people who were running CAF for over 2 decades were mostly Egyptians or North Africans. And so this decision, first of all, there are just so many things that is wrong with this decision. The body that is responsible for this appeal is comprises of 9 members. There were 4 members that were absent from this group. 9 out of the 9, there were only 5 people present. Actually, one of them was ineligible to be there. And I think when you read Article 5 of the CAF regulations, which talks about the authority of the referee, whatever the referee does on the field is final and is not disputable. You cannot challenge the referee decision once the referee blows his final whistle. That's one. Number 2, the individuals who rendered this decision, they did not adequately interpret CAF own rules, which is 82, 83, and 84. Because look, when you look at the way, as a matter of fact, I think it's 83 Article 83 says when you leave the field and you don't come back. That's so the description there is if you are considered you have abandoned, so you will forfeit the game if you do not come back. That's
after 30 minutes.
No, that's Article 84. That's the 84 part that says you have to come within certain period of time. But that is the problem with this decision, is that they did not take into account that the match was resumed, and the referee did allow the game to resume. And as far as the referee is concerned, the time allotted for the game was fulfilled. And for those reasons, it rendered Article 83 and 84 mute here because of the fact that the referee, because if anything, the referee should have just declared when Senegal returned back after 15 minutes, I think some people say 17 minutes, he should have just declared there and then that they have forfeited the game. But that didn't happen. Instead, the game went on. Morocco missed their penalty, and Senegal scored. So the game, according to the record that was submitted to CAF, the score of the game was 1-0. But I want you guys to remember, look, Morocco has an established history in this CAF, where the 1976 African Cup of Nations that they won. The format then was round robin, where few teams will come in a group. Whoever have the more point wins the AFCON. And so Morocco was playing Guinea in that final game when Guinea was leading at 1-0. Just before, I think, 15-20 minutes to the end of that game, one of their players was red carded. One of the Moroccan players was red carded. They walk off the field. Morocco walk off the field. After some time, they came back and then they scored an equalizer and won the tournament, won the AFCON tournament. Okay, now get this one. Here is what that really, really drives those of us who are interested in African soccer crazy. In 2019, during the African Cup of African Championship League, a final between a team from Morocco called Wydad of Casablanca and Esperance of Tunisia. These two teams were, the final. There are two legs. One, they'll play one in the other country, and the final leg in the other country. In the first leg of the finals was in Morocco. Esperance Tunisia drew with that 1-1. The return match was being played in Tunisia. So in this instance, Esperance just needed a 0-0 draw or whatever number of goals they scored. As for Wydad needed to score one goal or any number of goals and win the trophy. So in the 58th minute, I believe it was, Esperance of Tunisia, Wydad scored one goal against Esperance. And this goal was disallowed by the referee. And the Moroccan protested. They walked off the field for 1 hour, 60 minutes. They were not there. When they came back, the referee said, "You have forfeited the match. It's 3-0 to Esperance of Tunisia." That's it. Because he's the referee, he applied the rules. Guess what happened? The Moroccan appealed that decision, and CAF had the audacity to order that game replayed. Because, according to some of the justification they gave, there was supposed to be VAR. The VAR wasn't working, and CAF did not communicate to the two sides that the VAR wasn't working. Because one of the contention that the Moroccan team was having is that the referee, instead of disallowing the goal, they should go and watch VAR and see what. And the referee told them the VAR is not working. That was when they got to know. But the fact that after the game has been played and 1 hour, and the referee said Wydad has forfeited the game, CAF said that the match should be replayed, and Esperance said no. They took the case to CAS. It took no time. CAS reaffirmed that Esperance are the rightful champions of the Champions League. But then what you see here in this is, as a matter of fact, before I go further, Hakimi, which is one of the prominent star of the Moroccan team, has come out to say he doesn't want that cup. Morocco doesn't deserve that cup, and he's asking his teammates to do the same thing. That Senegal won that trophy fair and square. So again, I don't know if you all follow this so closely. The president of CAF, Dr. Motsibi, is now distancing himself from that decision. He's come to realize that decision is a sham, it's a disgrace. It should not have happened.
Thank you.
And so I can tell you right now that prominent people who are well versed in African soccer have all come and said that Senegal stand almost 100% chance of succeeding if they take that case to CAS. So again, this is one of the things, and I can tell you, having been privileged to have witnessed African AFCON in person in multiple cities, in multiple countries, I can tell you there are a lot of corruption that goes on behind the scene with this Africa, particularly when the host is a North African country. For them, their mentality is, as long as they are hosting that trophy, they must win it by all costs. And so that's what you see Moroccan trying to do here. They do not deserve the trophy, but they because they have significant influence on all the committees that runs CAF, they exerted their influence, and that's why you saw this very, very embarrassing decision. And I can tell you right now that this decision would be easily overturned by CAS.
Thank you. And besides me, I think Anthony played soccer with Swahili Club, and then Mr. Nambwe also tried to play a PhD, so maybe you will have some. Mr. Nambwe, just
I play football too. My dad was a professional football player in Liberia, so don't exclude me.
My football career went as far as getting girls' numbers and stuff like that. That's what I play for. But
what does this say about our institution? because we saw during the game what was going on with all this tower issue that we didn't really see let's say Morocco penalized because they
No.
only set up dangerous precedents where administrative decisions are, overriding sport results.
Yeah, but if the administrative decisions are sound and they're overriding, unjust decision, that is something we can applaud. But like my brother Douglas is saying here, I think CAF, they really, this is a very disgraceful move that they're undertaking, and they will lose. I think they were influenced by money. It is obvious. Just as Abu was saying, CAF is a member of the International Football Association board. There's a subset. It's like we have the national constitution, and then we have our little, governing rules in every little organization. Your rule cannot run counter to the national body. And
Yeah,
CAF's rule 82, the board's rule 5.2 gives the finality of decision to the referee on the field. Judge we are
yeah,
the former president, who we all know is the genius and godfather of football around the whole world, not just in Africa. He
yeah,
has come out to he has come out to affirm that rule and said, games are won on the pitch, not in the boardroom. So
yeah,
Cav is using like Bro Douglas is saying that rule 82 and whatever it is, but that rule cannot contravene the International Football Association board governing bodies rules. So and they know that this is a disgrace. And just
yeah,
like he's saying, there are instances, in this CAF football history, as my brother said, the same Morocco, they walked out the field for over 30 minutes in
yeah,
1976 in Guinea, and they came back and they still let them play, and they ended up winning that trophy. So Morocco really, I think I was developing a lot of respect for them because of the last showing at the World Cup, but right now, the way they're acting. I'm embarrassed, and if the player on the team, like my brother is saying, I missed that story. I'm glad he's standing up for what is right. I think Moroccans should not be rejoicing over this. I think they should be embarrassed. You should win the football. You should win the cup on the field. So I
yeah,
think I agree. I think this decision will be reversed. I think Senegal will keep it. If they don't, I think the whole of West Africa, because the North African, the light skinned brothers and sisters, they don't think they're really a part of us, and they just think they're better than us.
yeah,
I think if they do this, I think the sub-Saharan African country, we should boycott this whole cap and let's see how far they're gonna go with it. You know.
Alice?
Um, I think there's some corruption involved here, so it's a disgraceful thing because everything that some people put their hands in, it has to be corruption, especially in Africa. And so if Morocco did not win the game squarely on the field, I don't see any reason why they should be declared winners. I think the decision should be reversed and that the credit should be given to Senegal for their playing. And if they did the same thing, if Morocco did the same thing in 1976, why is it different now? You can't favor people where something is clear. You have to make clear decision, and you don't favor people because of their colors or because you think they got money. And I tend to agree with Mr. Namwe that once they are fair, they think they know better, and that should be discouraged. People should stand up for their right, and Senegal should definitely take their case, further so that they can be recognized as the legitimate winner of the game.
Mr. Sia, you play soccer too, right? So
Dennis, this is the most beautiful game that I have come to know, and I played the game. At the time I was playing, there was no money in it, and I didn't have much money to come to Moravia. I was the best in Grand Cru.
You wouldn't want the girls to sing your name when you were playing, right?
Yeah, But look, on a serious note, first of all, from what Mr. Ducle has followed the leadership aspect of the game much more than I do. He's not on the practical side like people that will play the game. So, and this whole fracas here is more on the leadership side trying to take decision that is contrary to the rules on the field. Mr. Nambe said President George Weah, Ballon d'Or, African best. I mean, he won all the best. So he knows the game and he spoke and he rejected completely the decision coming from, the leadership of the body. So this is a shame. This is a disgrace. I don't think they're going to succeed with this. Senegal is the deserving champion, of the trophy, and they should maintain that trophy, and I think they will. And this is, I mean, this is a good thing for the fact that it's exposing what Mr. Dukley has eloquently articulated, that the leadership of the CAF for the most part have been dominated by our Northern brothers, and so the thing that they have the control and the corruption, behind it, and also they might have been induced here, for which they are taking a kind of very shameful decision. And I think they're going to succeed. I mean, another point he mentioned is that one of the players from Morocco is saying, no, I'm not going to stand with there. I was on the field. So what happened? We did not win the game. And, and other leaders are talking about this. So I don't think they're going to. Senegal should not allow this to happen. Senegal should not allow this again. Talking about maybe we should leave, maybe the West Africa and other regions should leave. No, I do not support that. We have to find way to improve soccer in Africa, especially the African Cup. We need to improve it. What I will also recommend is that, look, we can establish another competition in West Africa where the West African countries can come together and compete yearly. I would encourage that, but I don't think we should leave. We should leave, the African Cup that has been played by the entire Africa. I would not suggest that.
Thank you. Ellis?
All right, let me just give my own footballing history or two, since everybody won't be talking. I was the youngest captain of the Sotelmo football team at just 8 years old. I captained the entire high school and middle school team. Just to put that out there. Of course, I was a part of the community team for Ellington Barman, the former minister of justice in Liberia. For our local team, on the Concoton background, part of that team, we travel, play at SKD, and so my father played for LPRC.
Only one goal. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. But I'm just saying, let's also take a step back and realize that West Africa, our region, has dominated that tournament in the last few years. I think 3 out of the 4 last winners were West Africans. I think if you count Senegal now, even though they stripped them, Senegal, I think the Cote d'Ivoire, and I think Senegal again, and then in the mix it was Algeria, who I think won it either in 2019 or so 2020. So we've won a lot of those tournaments: Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal. I think they've each won multiples of the African Cup of Nations. So we should be proud of ourselves as a region and as a footballing body. That West Africans in particular, we tend to dominate on the continent. Morocco and Egypt, not even Morocco, but Egypt and Tunisia and Algeria, they've won a few of them, but mostly the West African nations are dominated. But I think even when I was playing football as a kid, my dad always used to tell me to be disciplined. Don't talk to the referee when you feel like a call goal, went against you. Don't argue too much on the pitch. And I think in that regard, we'll give Senegal a little criticism that they walked up the field as showing discipline. Although many of us who watched the game and watched previous games and saw that Morocco was heavily favored, and the referee decision was going against other African countries like Nigeria and Cameroon and other countries that played. Morocco seemed to be, at the lower end of the refereeing decision. So for me, I do think that once the referee, I think that Mr. Dugley has done a great job here, elucidating us on the rules, and he seems to have some intimate knowledge of the ongoings, which I appreciate. But there's a guy from South Africa who I think was on the board of the board of the discipline. He was on that board that makes the decision, and he said that there was 2 clauses that in order for a team to be stripped of the title, they have to have violated both of those clause articles, and only one of them applies to this case, and the other one, I think it was 83 or 84, didn't apply, so thereby they shouldn't have been stripped of their title. So I think he gave a great analysis on that too. But really, I think what Morocco did was they thought they were going to win the game by Brahim Diaz scoring a penalty kick in extra time, and with a few minutes left, they'll raise the title, and they would have won on the field of play. But instead of kicking a good, low driven shot, he tried to pinnacle the guy. He tried to pinnacle Mendy, and he saved the penalty. And Papi Gay came in and scored that winning goal. And rightfully, Senegal was crowned the champion. So I think, like Mr. Duper is saying, it's probably going to be overturned. But now we're hearing people are reversing decisions for those who are betting, and Senegal is supposed to return the $10 million that was given to them as the winning team, and all kinds of things that will be a cascading effect of this decision being overturned. And a lot of people think that's going to be a long, drawn out fight in the courts because we got World Cup coming up in a few months. They're probably not going to hear the case before the World Cup. It's probably going to be drawn out in a appeal case. So for me, let's just remember this is a sporting event. It's partially entertainment. It's partially sports. We have a lot more important things going on in the world, on the global stage. So I don't want us to waste too much energy on it. But in my mind, in the hearts of many Africans, Senegal was the rightful champion of that tournament.
Thank you. Dr. Malik, you have a minute to talk on the CAF issue.
Well, I think Mr. Ducle had just given us a clear analysis about this. But what I want to take home here is that sport has become a global phenomenon right now. And anything have got a global taste, sometimes corruption penetrates. What I noticed about the global sport nowadays is like it's being concluded in the top offices and being symbolized on the field. This is what's happening now. Politics has permeated this very good arrangement. So the only thing, because in fact, what I'm taking aback when the CAF president tried to distance himself from the decision, that's a serious issue. And I would want to entreat the Senegalese team to really move forward until they can achieve justice. But sometimes again, it becomes so difficult when that last whistle has been blown and the glory being handed over to the next team to have a reverse. It become another uphill battle. So I don't know whether Senegal will really get what it has set to get for itself. I don't know. But I think there's a need for them to really revisit this case until sport justice can be in their favor. But I doubt it seriously, because I know Morocco is also fighting seriously to keep this cup. You see, and there where the politics come in. So the whole game have been politicized nowadays. You see, even the football coming into this country. I mean, to the United States.
The World Cup.
The World Cup. Okay, there are too many lobbying going on, and those lobbying, they don't survive in the absence of wealth, in the absence of cash. You have to play your card and play it very well. Probably Senegal did not play her card properly and was just relying on what was being manifested on the field. So I hope it's a lesson for Senegal. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our last topic for tonight. And after that, we're going to be opening the phone lines. I thought about this, and I've even written a paper that will be published soon. As Liberian Muslims celebrate the end of Ramadan, we extend our warm wishes and Mubarak. But tonight we ask a deeper question. Liberia is deeply religious, about 70 to 80% Christian and then 20% Muslim. So everybody in Liberia is very religious. We have all the holidays, Christian pastors are giving, they are revered in the country and everything. Yet corruption, impunity, and unethical or ethical failures persist. So the question tonight that I want to ask, does Liberia's strong religious identity translate into ethical behavior in public life? That's the question. I mean, Christianity, Muslim, everybody's religious. How come now the society is rotten? Alice, you want to go first, Alice?
First, most of the time people pretend they want to be, they want to portray a different image out there when in reality they are doing something else. So Liberia, quote unquote, is a Christian nation. So those who are not even Christians, they profess to be Christians. There are a lot of people who are not Christian, who do not practice Christianity. When you ask them, they will say they are Christians. Because, it's like some new thing that everybody want to be part of. That's the only way people will respect them. People will, society will recognize them. And it goes with all the other religion. What are we talking right now? Whose name is being implicated in the manner that we're talking about now? Which religion? So it's just people. People are into things because they want to be there to gain societal respect. But, in reality, they are not who they think they are or who people think they are. When it comes to money, corruption, they are all in it. How can we change the nation when even the pastors, why you think they're getting rich, charging people to pay money? They ride the best cars when the members are poor. Why will you collect money and give it to the pastor or the bishop when the ordinary people in the church that don't have anything cannot receive for even a holiday meal? So we practice something and we do the other. That's the point.
Alex, before I let you go, because I don't want to question anybody's faith. So I assume when they say they are Christian, right? Even our president is a deacon, right? But why are we not seeing those Christian values translated in our society, or those Muslim values translated in what we do, places of work, and everywhere else?
But this is what I'm saying.
They are not transferable, or why?
This is what I'm saying, because it's pretense. People are not actually who they say they are. Why is the country not going forward? We got both Muslims and Christians. All right. So why is it Liberia is not moving forward? The simple answer is people take money, corruption above everything else.
Thank you. Evans, does this bother you too? Why do we see high levels of religious devotion but low levels of institutional integrity?
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jai. Look, I think you have to separate, the religion from the state in this regard, that we're not a theocracy. Our Bible or the Quran doesn't. That's what I'm saying. So in the public life, it does that religion doesn't govern them. So for us who are Christians, we'll say that if you have a conviction in Christ, then your life will imitate, the life of Christ, and your action will be one that is after, the way Christ told you to treat others and to behave, to be righteous, and do all the right things. And don't say, let's not be fooled to think that there are not good people in the government who are exhibiting good Christian behaviors, even in their public, service life. Of course, there's a lot of people at the very top who do, who are very corrupt and not really leading us in the right path, but still they're being corrupt. And those things are antithetical to the belief that many Christians or even Muslims believe in terms of serving, righteously in your position. But for me, on the issue of the holiday, I do think there should be a holiday, especially, a day like this, the end of Ramadan, or even maybe the start of Ramadan. But I think we talked to the Muslims before, and they wanted like 3 holidays, Abraham Day and, and some other days. But I think giving them, a couple of holidays is just, and it's fine. I don't think that takes anything away from us as a people.
Evis, what is the point of all these holidays if the values that for which we're doing this holiday and this singing and everything? I mean, if you attended the last inauguration, we have praise and worship everywhere. Why is it that those Christian values are not being exhibited? That's my question.
Right, that's what I'm saying, right? You're a Christian, at least I'd like to think you are, unless you're not a Christian anymore. But your life, your life will reflect, your conviction. And many Christians, even our Bible tells us, many will come in saying,
Assumption is those whose lives not reflecting are not Christian. Is that what you're saying? The
I mean
Bible says,
that's what our Bible that's what our Bible tells us, right? That your life will reflect if you're truly convicted. If you're just calling the name Jesus, Jesus, and your deeds and your heart is not truly with Him, then you can claim to be a Christian, but your deeds and your actions prove otherwise. So that's how we can tell through actions and deeds who are truly a Christian.
let me ask the Imam.
By their fruits.
Right.
Mr. Duque, the question is, does Liberia's strong religious identity translate into ethical behavior in public life?
The short answer is no.
Why
And
is that?
before I even delve further, I take serious issue with the statistic that you quoted earlier, 70, 70, 20, whatever it is that you said. I don't know where you got that statistic from. It's not accurate at all. But with that said, pardon me?
I stand corrected. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, in the case of Liberia, Dennis, I don't think the metrics that you're trying to use here is sort of a practical. Religion is I mean, at least from the Islamic perspective, we see our religion as a way of life, meaning your religion should be reflected in everything you do, say, whatever you say and do. Your religion must be reflected in all of that. I'm not sure if this is any different from the teachings of Christianity, where we should be honest, we shouldn't lie, we shouldn't cheat, we shouldn't. But the way our political system has evolved over the years, we have come to normalize stealing, cheating as a way of life, irrespective of our religious tradition. It doesn't. It's a fact that the Liberian Constitution, 1847 Constitution, was ratified in a Baptist church on Broad Street, whatever denomination it is, but it was in a church. And so, usually when we look at our policymakers, our politicians, greed and poverty, it does not matter what religion you are. If you are poor and you are put in front of a situation through which you can enrich yourself, it does not matter what religion you are, you would definitely try to make sure that you get yourself out of that poverty by stealing, by lying. And so it boils down to the individual person who is a Christian or who is a Muslim. And my fellow Christians wouldn't take kindly, as some of them are very glad to say that Liberia is a Christian state. And when you talk about all these bad behavior and bad things, and if you attribute it to Christianity, as most ignorant people would like to do, then they become defensive. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but I mean, I'm just trying to say. So it's an individual thing. And like Elvis says earlier, I can tell you, there are people that are in the government who are very, very, I guess they keep to their religious traditions. They do what they're supposed to do. And, when I was growing up, I remember encountering a gentleman by the name of John Pro. John Pro was working at the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. He was responsible for issuing birth and death certificates at the Ministry of Health. And with John Pro, you could not corrupt him. No matter what you try to do, he was by the book, and he couldn't issue any certificate if the procedure laid out in the Ministry of Health was not followed. So there are a lot of good guys. There are people who are within the government who are Christians, who are very good people, who are not corrupt, but they are just few and far in between. And so the question itself is really not in place to reflect what we are talking about here in terms of our governments and the government officials and all that. So really the point is mute here when you're talking about government and civil servants. I mean, you can be a director in a ministry somewhere and you follow all the rules, because either you don't have the avenue to steal, or either you are not in a position where you can do things outside your religious teaching. So really, Dennis, um, it doesn't really matter if you are Christian or Muslim. If you are poor and you have the means to steal, obviously you will steal, particularly in the context of Liberia and Liberian government, because the way people have been
Okay.
conditioned.
Let me go to somebody. But you're confusing me now. Because
In what way?
all right, we're saying if people are Christian, they are Muslim, they are so devoted. Why can't their life show wherever they go?
But that's what
And
I
you're
said.
saying,
You cannot be straight when stealing has been normalized and you are
okay,
coming from a very poor background. It does not matter if you're a Christian or Muslim. You will steal in order for you
okay.
to get out of that
But
poverty.
that's not what the
And
Holy Book says. Anyway,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you. So because you have to look at the other circumstances,
no,
things that
okay,
have
I
happened.
got it.
Like I
Let
said,
me go to fear.
okay.
You know, because I want
But
to say
most people are not devout, Mr. Ja. Most Christians are not devout. Most people are just Sundays going to church Christian. Same thing with some Muslims.
you are
Most of them are
judging.
not devout.
Can
But
say that.
you are okay, Mr. C. Not just in government, but even in your personal lives. We see a lot of the Zogos, we see
Then-
people that are doing drug abuse, alcoholic, people, I mean, mob justice. People can kill somebody in the street like the same people that were just having praise and worship, or that were just kept right in front of the mosque. I mean, they will mob someone. So why is this happening? Why do we see high level of religious devotion but low level of integrity? People are stealing here is normal. Somebody driving, you're in your car, you forget your pocketbook as a lady. By the time you get, the driver will take it. But yet, these are all religious people. Is the religion the problem, Mr. C?
Dennis, thank you. I'll use my time to Mr. Namwe. He wants to leave at 9. Mr.
Okay,
Namwe.
Mr. Noah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother C, and thank you guys very much. Great show tonight. I'm happy I was able to be a part of the discussion, and thank you ever so much. Thanks to our audience as well.
I want to hear your view on the religion before you go.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Um, I will keep it very simple. I think religion has become a business. Basically, that's my short answer. Most of these people going around pontificating and all of that, it's just a business. Most of them don't believe what they're saying. They use it as a cover to enrich themselves. They don't really believe what they're telling us. I mean, who are some of the pastors in Liberia? The president of the Republic of Liberia is a pastor, Josh Weir. The current president is a deacon. I mean, can you tell me that those people really, President Weir, when he was the president, he was a pastor. He went to church on Sunday. Some of the people went to that church who couldn't find food to eat. So I look. I honestly, that is my short answer. I believe. Yes, there are some real true preachers, but there are few. Most of the current ones we have here, there's a complete disconnect between what they're telling us and what they do in real life. So I guess it's the proverbial do what I say, but don't do what I do. But again, thank you very much, Mr. Sophia. I appreciate the fact you give me your time. I hope to be with you guys again next Friday.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dennis, if I may, as you are aware, I don't have time for religion anymore. I don't need religion to know that I've wronged somebody. I don't need religion to know what is evil and not to do it. I don't need religion. What do I need religion for? I mean, religion is about God, right? And all the things the Bible said, I don't believe in all of those things anymore. I used to believe in that. I have been praying. I have challenged God many times that God, if you are actually God, as people make us to believe that you exist, come and appear to me. I really want to see you. It has not happened. I've been praying for something that if there is a God, people believe when you pray, what you ask for, you will get it. I'm praying for this. Let me get it. I have not gotten it. It's a lie. I'm saying it on a very significant platform here. It's a lie. And I encourage every African to throw it away because the people that they don't even believe the things they're telling us. All right. So the whole thing about religion, whatever religion it is, whether is Islam, Christianity, it's a show. All right. And it's a waste of our time. I mean, if you look at Israel, for example, look at the kind of killing they're doing. And they said thou shalt not kill, right? That was a commandment given to, and look at the people that they are killing. America, quote unquote, in God we trust. The president of America will give a command just by seeing a boat on the sea, give a command that they should bomb that place. There's no human being in there. They're not sure who there. They'll bomb it. He will give command to go to another country and kill their president. And quote unquote, he is a Christian. And the Bible said, thou shalt not kill. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's serving God. He's giving command, and Israel is clearing on manslaughter. Islam too, as a religion, some of their religious leaders, or some leaders who are heads of Islamist countries, who control the military, will be giving command for other people to be killed. And they believe that killing is wrong, but they kill and they give a justifiable reason why to kill. Do they really believe in that? That God is telling them not to kill? Because the only way I believe it, if they can tell me that God said we can kill for this reason. And all of you, I'm glad.
God never said thou should not kill, he said thou should not murder.
Yeah, I'm glad we have an Islamic scholar here. And here's the other part. If you look at the whole Bible, the Satan that they are accusing, no one can point to me from the reading of the Bible who Satan has killed. The devil discarded. Name me one person the devil has killed.
So cast a good God with deadly Satan.
I will give you a chance. Hold on, Elvis, why are you rushing? I'm putting a challenge to you. You read the Bible. Name me or cite an instant where Satan, the devil, as you know, has killed somebody. I will give you 100 instances where God himself have given command for other people to be killed. Your God or yourself. This thing is all made up. It's all lies. And it's unfortunate that people waste their time with religion. It's a waste of time. That's
a Luciferian argument. That the devil did nothing wrong. He's the good guy and God is the bad guy.
Elvis, let me go to Dr. Mali. We'll come to you. The thing about the question I'm asking, I'm not sure if I got the real answer from Mr. C, is why do we see high level of religious devotion and all these books teaching the right thing, integrity, ethical behavior, love, and yet we don't do it? Dr. Mali, what's going on?
My answer was sure, because they don't believe in that.
Well,
okay. Yeah.
Least we forget we live in a contemporary time and society is very dynamic. I will also want to say that democratic election is not the same as democratic governance. And so the same apply to religious lifestyle is not the same as religious conviction. So in Christianity, there are so many leverages in Christianity. You have freedom to do what you want to do. You have freedom to serve the God you want to serve. You have freedom to even commercialize the what is in the Bible nowadays. So the question now is, what is in the Bible, is it counterproductive with our prevailing circumstances? The answer is yes. Society has become quite evolving these days. Now you get a gay bishop sitting there. All right? In America, there is a gay bishop. Then if we want to apply the Bible, is it right? Then the issue of freedom to do what you want to do, then somebody saying are enshrined in your constitution, make it difficult. So I agree with you, moderator. Our lifestyle, 86% Christians in Liberia, with 12% Muslim. Our lifestyle as Christian in our country, all right, it's far, I mean, the division is too high as compared to our lifestyle. And don't also forget, The same people that make up the church is the same people that make up the homes, and it's the same people that make up the society. So if Brother Brooklyn is saying that when we come to the ethical aspect, trust me, I really respect Muslim when it comes to that era. There's no too weird about it. But my challenging question to Brother Brooklyn is, you live in a corrupt system as part and parcel, you're part and parcel of a corrupt system, right? So I'm not saying to what extent the Muslim religion have been able to discipline a segment of the corrupt system. I'm not saying it as yet. So the argument that the Christians are on the loose, then if we want to retrogress, then what are the Muslims doing? So the Muslim discipline and their ethical practices is just within their cycle. It doesn't go beyond their cycle, not at all. Like for instance, you have an advisor, Bushman Keita, all right? A top Islamic religious guy. He worked in this system. He worked with the president. The question now is, why corruption continue to flourish all over the place? That's the question. So it's like the blame is almost on every one of us. So to answer your question, Mr. Moderator, I strongly want to believe Christianity has got its own leverage. You can choose to do what you want to do. You believe in what you want to do. You dress how you want to dress. You can even commercialize it.
Dr.
That is completely incompatible with the Bible. But that's why it is, because of society dynamics.
I just want to make one simple point of correction.
Hold on, sir. If the Bible says thou shalt not steal, are you saying you are flexible to steal or not to steal when you get in government?
That would depend on the dynamics of the society you're in. Because if the Bible says thou shalt not steal, I don't expect you to be living in a corrupt system. Because you will be tempted.
The Bible says we are the light of the world. We are the salt of the earth. So whatever system you're in, you should shine. Let your light so shine before men that others will see your light and be attracted to Christ. So if you are not doing it, then so why is it that we have all this Christian, and Mr. Brooklyn, the statistical guy, that's why I said 70 to 80% Christian. So in our country, we should have maybe 90% religious devotees. So why are we not seeing any change?
Yes, but
the monetary that number of 86%.
I mean, Mr. Moderator, you live in one factor out here. Society is dynamic and evolving, right? So that I like shine. It doesn't always work like that.
Okay, sometimes
given the nature of society. No.
All right, I got it. Let me announce.
I just want to make one simple point. A point of correction here, Dr. Mali. Bushman Keita is a Christian, by the way. He just happened to be a Madingo, but he's a Christian. And also, Dennis, if we have the reverse, where we have 70% of the government is Muslim, you will see how much reduced corruption will be in Liberia.
Oh, come on. Well, let me ask you, Mr. Seer, right? Mr. Seer.
I don't see the impact.
So if we went to Guinea, where we have more, you think corruption will be outside?
Guinea is not Liberia.
Okay.
Look. Let me just say this to Mr. Seer, right? Mr. Seer, in the Bible, it talks about God has the power of life and death. He breathes life into man. He has the control over life. The devil cannot come and take your life because he doesn't have that power. Only through his emissaries who are following and being devilish can the devil inspire them to take the life of a human being. But he himself has no power over life because God holds that ultimate power. That's why the devil is not attributed to taking anyone's life, nor is he attributed to giving life to anybody. And also, our Bible teaches us that the devil is a marauding, lion, hoping to steal, kill and destroy the lives of the children of God. So when it comes to the devil, he really has no power, only the power that we gave him by following him and disobeying God. That's all.
So what power? So does the devil have power to make people sick? or to make people to die, or the devil has the power to tempt people to do crazy stuff. What power?
Yeah, like we said we said in the Bible, right? When he went to God and he asked God for permission to inflict certain things on Job, and God gave him that permission. Now, in certain places, like in Africa, for example, what people believe people can do witchcraft and do certain things to make you sick or to put you in poor health. And even sometimes we ourselves are making ourselves sick because of some of the foods that we eat. There was dietary laws for certain reasons that certain foods are going to make you sick. They have certain bacteria that you're not supposed to ingest, and certain things like that we ourselves make ourselves sick. The Bible don't it doesn't promise us perfect health. God didn't tell you that because you're Christian you won't suffer or you won't deal with pain on this earth. That's not what the Bible promises us. So being sick is not necessarily the work of the devil. It doesn't tell you that because you're Christian, 100% you'll be healthy forever. That's not what the Bible says.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is
Moderator.
Friday Night Debate, and our topics range from borders, football, faith, and governance. What do these crises reveal about Liberia? If you want to be a part of the discussion, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403 #. We have 10 minutes to close. Dr. Male. So the general question before we as caller is everything that we have discussed so far. What do these crises reveal about Liberia? That will be the closing as we wait for callers.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Evis one question. Who is the devil?
Okay, I mean the devil, in my understanding, is that fallen angel that was once called Lucifer, the light bringer, who fell and rebelled against God, and now is called Satan on this earth, the emissary, the deceiver, the divider, one who brings enmity between man and God, who hopes to bring enmity between man and God, and who hopes to lead men to their ultimate destruction by being separated from God for eternity. And he's doing these and using certain powers and principality on this earth to divide man for his creator and his divine union with God, Christ, in that regard. That's who the devil is. He's not somebody that you can see physically, but the Bible tells you about his spiritual presence within our world, and his action and his deed is to divide us from God in eternity. That's who the devil is.
Well, to close on my note, I been told by some Christians philosopher that the devil is us. We are the devil. There's no devil sitting anywhere. But again, I want to sympathize with Anthony for the decision he has taken. There are too many things out there that can even compare you to take such a decision. I'm telling you. So I really don't blame him. Like, for instance, I was doing a research in Nigeria. Nigeria, apart from the government, the second agenda there is religion. And the guy now is a competition there. Okay? Who get the most wealth? That's the competition down there. If you get one helicopter, someone go in for 2 helicopters. If you get 5 cars, so the question now is, I don't blame what Mr. C, the decision he already taking. I'm telling you, it said that institution already failed some of us. You
Not true. Not true.
No. When I say failed some of us, there's separation between state and church. All right. But now you hardly see that demarcation anymore. Most of the things that are happening in politics now is happening in the church. People are undermining. People are trying to dethrone other people. People are there for wealth. The same thing is happening in politics.
All of those things are antithetical to what the Bible teaches us. That so you can't blame Christianity for that.
There's a distinction between church and state. It's not the same. But now that
somebody's on the line.
No. Now that distinction, you don't see it anymore. So I agree with Mr. Sia. You don't see that distinction anymore.
The Bible says the wages of sin is death. So as a Christian, if you're sinning, you know your wage of sin, the wage of your sin will be death at the end. The Bible says it's harder for a rich man to enter into heaven. It's hard for a rich man. All of those things we know.
I want us to focus on the question I asked and not the religious argument. But let me bring up Jimmy Ismail is on the line. Jimmy, Hello there.
Hey, Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We talk a lot tonight. Let's hear you.
Oh man, it was a very good show. Gentlemen, I just got back from home after 2 months, and I can tell you we are making some progress. It is visible. Of course, there's a lot to be desired, but if I tell you we're not doing anything, I will not be honest. So, show was great. Many things you guys discussed are pertinent to our existence. The border crisis, we need to handle it properly. I believe Congo is maybe on to something, but this is typical of Liberia. Liberia has always been struggling to survive amongst enslavers, colonists. Liberia has found a way to survive regardless. And we must prove ourselves once more again that we have the integrity to protect our borders through dialogue and negotiation. That is how we've managed throughout the years. And when it comes to the decision with AFCON, I can't understand why they would try to even award Morocco that championship after they lost in front of the whole world. It's ridiculous. And if they should do that, I think it would lead to the organization itself. And what we talked about, you mentioned of the morality of people, where we know that the Islamic religion emphasizes honesty, integrity, and so does Christianity. But just like Madam Wilson alluded to, are they authentically there, or are they just using it as a cover?
Is there a litmus test for? Is there a litmus test for that?
It's only your heart.
Okay.
There's no litmus test. You can be the bishop, just like somebody said. There's a bishop today who is a gay, and all the books I've read in the Bible, that is not permissible in the church, but they are interpreting it to suit their purposes. So yeah, we will have people claiming they worship a certain God, but at the same time, their actions do not represent that, and the only conscience is their own. Nobody can really judge another. But in the end, at the end of when we leave this earth, is when you will know where you go. I'm kind of disappointed that Mr. Sia is disenchanted with the faith. I think the faith is powerful and strong, but I think it's been manipulated, abused, and especially by Western powers who have robbed Africans of their truth, their heritage, their faith, and using it now as if they're the ones who originated it. So excellent discussion. I hope to be back. I have to leave for Brazil, but I will be back in April, and I'm looking forward to contributing once more again to such a brilliant platform.
Thank you. It feels like retirement, you mean?
Man, just in. Welcome back.
Retirement is sweet, but you need money, so every now and then you need a little contract here and there.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have tonight. We'll go around the room for your closing at this point. You can pick any of the topics we've discussed, and you close on that, because at the end of the day, we have to move the country forward. So let's always think about the way forward as we close tonight. Let me start with Elvis.
Yeah, okay.
You can get witness.
Look, I think the issue on the religious, part of the conversation, I do think, Muslims and those who are ascribed to the faith should have a holiday. I think they've been a part of us for, since the beginning of our nation, and in the effort for peace and unity and brotherhood. they should have a holiday or two, and be respected. And those who are working can get off work and have the day off to observe their holiday. Nothing wrong with that. It doesn't take anything, from us as a nation. So I'm in favor of that. But I think the last thing is that your actions based on your conviction. I'm a Christian. I don't know, how the Muslims do theirs, but your evidence, if you're talking about a litmus test, Mr. Jai, is your actions, your deeds, the way in which your light shines.
Evans, before you end, right? Let's say we are part of the FOL football club. We are members of it. If we go outside every day, they beat us and they say, well, they really member, but it's just their live, they're hard not member. That's what you're telling me. If 80% of population come and say we are Christian, they are in church every day singing hallelujah. By the time they hear this thing, oh, La brother, Christian nation. Then when they behave, you say, oh, well, that's more, he's not real Christian. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Except it does, because that's what the Bible says. The Bible says that, the narrow road leads to salvation, the wide road leads to destruction. So a lot of people, go the path of destruction. Even those who are calling Christ's name don't mean that you're Christian. When you're convicted, when you're truly reborn, your actions are different than it was before, and you start to be a Christ-like individual, or a Christ-like creature that exhibits, some of the behavior of Christ. And those people you can tell, from a mile away, because they don't do things the way other people do things. They're kind, they're peaceful, they want to help others, they don't steal, they don't kill, they don't do, the things that non-believers will be doing. And those people are far, it's hard to find them. So the thing that because majority of us claim to be Christian means that all of us are exhibiting the true Christian belief and the true actions of a real Christian is not the case. And you know that, Mr. Jack. But thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Dr. Mala, you're closing.
Well, I want to differ with Evis a little bit on this holiday thing.
We didn't discuss holiday tonight.
No, 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 no.
Yo, where is that?
It has opened another section, and the section it has opened for me that I'm a bit apprehensive about is the issue of the Muslim holiday. I don't think it's experienced now, even though Liberia is a secular state. But I don't think I think it has its own political undertone. And secondly,
and what is that undertone?
Well, from my own assessment, I strongly want to believe that the Muslims have been striving to take the helm of affairs in Liberia, and particularly the Mandingos, because now you have too many people in that basket. You have the Muslim, you have the Fulanese, now you have the Mandingo, and we have the similar group in
what is the political undertone?
The political undertone is that they are striving to take the helm of power.
What does that mean?
That was exhibited. That was exhibited when they got. Pardon me.
What does helm of power mean that they want to take?
Oh, you don't know when someone wants to take over the helm of power?
Although you gotta define it, that about
the nation. They want to lead a nation, of course, yes. And you can see that ambition. Okay, well, even reflect.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
No, there are a whole lot of things wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that, especially for certain generation. But there's a whole lot wrong with that. Do you know why? Is it that up to now they have not constitutionalized Muslim holiday? There's a whole bunch of things wrong with that. Right? A whole bunch of things wrong with that. It's not really timely right now.
Let's wrap up.
Yes.
We can have a separate show on the holidays.
Okay, so to conclusion, the issue of the border drama, I think I would want to suggest for the government to have a permanent military garrison station there. And secondly, we need now is about time. This is a wake-up call for the government.
The border at Makona, the border is long. And we just
no.
5,000 men.
I have not exhausted my recommendation. We need a war border as well.
Oh boy.
We need a military garrison to be permanently stationed to that place. And lastly, we need to redraw, we need to redemarcate that border, because that water will continue to cause problems from time to time. Who owns the water? Am I supposed to take over the portion that is on my side? Or are we supposed to meet to agree? Or like whatever was saying? I think there are a lot of controversy in that whole thing. So there's a need for us to revisit this thing here. And His Excellency, the government of Liberia, need to be clear with the citizenry. What is the bone of contention? So that we all start guessing around here.
I know, that's important. Thank you. Mrs. Malva, you're closing.
Things I want to close on. You know, even though we did not discuss religious holidays, but there's no Christian holidays set for Liberia. Liberia is a secular state. Christmas is celebrated by a lot of people all over the world. So it's not a holiday for Liberia. Liberia does not have Christian holiday, so we cannot start something that is not spoiled. If you start with Muslim holiday, guess what's going to happen? We got the Hindus. A lot of Indians are moving to Liberia at some point. You're going to be having holiday, and then you have the traditional people, they're going to be having holidays. Liberians will not go to work. It will all be holiday celebration from one to another. We already had too many. So I don't want people to open the can of worms that Christians got holiday. Christians do not have any holiday in Liberia. So we need to get that straight and move on to something else. When I was in Liberia, if there's Ramadan, you go in the street, there's no taxi. That means the people are praying. You need to sit down somewhere or find another vehicle. So one way or the other, people are celebrating it, because when there are no cars, you will have to sit down home. All right. If the people have to pray, they close their food shop. You don't have to go buy bread because it's a holiday. So, but we don't need to like formalize it to bring a problem in the country.
Let's have a separate debate on the holidays. I don't want it to take.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about.
I have so many questions. What you're saying, what Dr. Mali said. You know, I have so many questions. I disagree with him sharply.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a separate day for Christmas or holidays.
That's fine. On the border thing, you know, the government needs to come up clearly, and I really applaud the president for being very peaceful in handling the situation, even though it's not still settled down yet. But the way he approached it was fine. But I just need for them to be a little bit open. If something happens and you are very slow in explaining to people what happened, everybody will have something to say. The story will change, and you will have different versions of stories that you cannot contain. The first time it happened, if the government had come up to address the nation, all the different versions we have now were not going to come up. And then you deal with exactly what happened. You know, if Guinea is upset about mining, well, then they don't need to cross the border. They need to take up the issue and discuss it. They don't need to plant their flag. So if they have ulterior motive for crossing the river, then they need to be bold about it so Liberia will know how to handle it. But we don't really know what they think, and we're trying to be guessing about mining or something. It might be a different reason altogether. So we need to find out what they want. And once we identify what they want, we are able to tackle that. And I agree with people that said, you know, Liberia, if Liberians in the diaspora can collect money to beef up the AFL, but you need to start from the House of Representatives and the Senate. They make too much money to leave our borders, you know, open up for people to march anytime, like we don't have a country. Somebody can get march in your house, beat up your wife, beat your children, kidnap your babies, and you're sitting down doing nothing. It doesn't show respect.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Victor number. He said he left, but he really didn't leave. Victor, you're closing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. I do need something in the back here, but I'm listening, and I really have to come back quickly.
We're not hearing Victor.
On that, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You're hearing you, yeah.
I really differ sharply with Dr. Malley, and I hope FOL would issue a disclaimer because the views that he's espousing, they do not represent the FOL that I'm associated with. You know, as a panelist, when we come on, we have to make our people based on fact. You got to substantiate what you're saying. What is he saying about Muslim and Mandingo having political undertone? What does that mean? Everything that is happening in Liberia has political undertone. He's a Congo man. The Congo book came and ruled us for so many years. They had an undertone. But today we're all preaching peace and reconciliation. To come up and sit on a platform like that and talk the way he did,
Congo man.
I know Dr. Mali very well. But I think he misspoke, and I hope he will clarify before he leaves. Everybody is in Liberia. We all have a right to Liberia. Whether you're Medingo, you're Muslim, you're Congo, you're Christian, you're Grebo.
And even if I'm Christian today, I become president. Nothing precludes me from being Muslim or Hindu or something else. So I don't know what he's trying to prevent.
The former president, he converted to Islam and then went back to Christianity. So, you know, I mean, I really, please, guys, you know.
I don't want Sharia law being imposed. No,
I don't want to take too much of your time. I really disagree with you sharply.
Thank
I hope you will say something about this before you leave, because that's very divisive.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Mr. Sia, you're closing.
Next, I want to close on this tension that occurred at the border, for which our president had to go to Guinea. I think it was the right decision to go there and talk to the president of Guinea. I want us to understand that we are not in a good position to engage in any military conflict. Our national defense spending right now is 70 million. Last year, 2025 was 18 million. It dropped to 17. When you look at our military, we are around 2,000. And maybe that 2,000, maybe that paramilitary even beat that up to 2,000. Guinea is fighting force, the military alone is 15,000. Labrador does not even have a helicopter. We don't even have a war tank. Guinea has about 8 of them and they have helicopter. So we are not in a good position. And even if we were, why spend money to fight your brothers and sisters across the border? If you go down there, you have Kisi, yeah, we are the same people. The best option here is to have a dialogue and so that the dispute, can be settled. That's the best we can do. And then whatever money we support. I mean, I hear people beating their chests. They say they are celebrating the young people who stood against the Guinean soldiers who were armed and they were not armed. If those guys wanted to open fire, they would have killed them. There's a report that one person, I think got killed or so, right?
Injured.
They both got bullet medicine, injured.
Got injured, right? So we should not, and I'm saying this to our leaders, we should never, ever think about fighting any other person. No, it is not a wise thing to do. Even if we had the money, even if we had the military power, the best thing to do is to engage in dialogue diplomatically and resolve the conflict. Though people are black people, we are black people. All right. These bullets really did not divide us. So engaging in any conflict whatsoever makes absolutely no sense. Even the people at the border, they benefit from Guinea more than they benefit from their own country, Liberia. This is a reality. Ever you're shaking your head, you've never been there. I'm telling you what I know. We sent our reporter there. Did you not see our reporter? Did you talk to him? Okay. I live in Maryland before. Most of the people in Maryland, do you know where they get their goods? Do you think they come to Monrovia? They go to the Ivory Coast. I live in Ivory Coast. I've been around the border, my friend. So I know what I'm telling you. Liberians who live in the border countries, especially in the southeast, the people go to Ivory Coast. They're where they get most of the things they consume.
Yeah.
So engaging into any military conflict, it does not benefit or anything. It's just a waste of time. We have had enough bloodshed and it will not help us. So I encourage the government to engage this thing diplomatically and resolve it. Let us now let's start beating our chest for war. We are now in a position to do so. Even if we were, it would be a waste of time and bloodshed that would not advance us. Why should we be at each other's throat? No, it makes no sense. But what I must say too, though, there's reason to believe that this thing was triggered by some form of money. It is important for the president to heed Chawan Gonglo's call to investigate. And if any official or any private citizen engaged in money that triggered this thing, there should be action taken against that person. And if the president is complacent because maybe some government officials are in it, then it does not speak well for us, because this could actually bring war. And that's where I disagree that, Guinea was trying to bully us. If they wanted to, they would have done it. And would not. I mean, we didn't have anybody down there when they went. Those young people couldn't stand armed people. They couldn't. So I think that's where I want to stop. The whole religion thing you throw away is not going to help us. It's just going to divide us further. Look at the reckless statement that just came from Dr. Mane. Very reckless. And on behalf of Focus on Liberia, I want to say clearly that the views expressed by Dr. Male, that Mandingo and Fula people, and they're trying to get the hem of power, it is their right. Even if it's the Fula person, if that person is a Liberian, it is his right or her right to run for president. And if the Liberian people elect that person to be our president, so be it. Whether that person is a Muslim or Mandingo, they are Liberians. Our constitution is clear. Once you are of Negro descent, you have the right to become a Liberian citizen. And if you are a Liberian citizen, you have the right to occupy any position of power if you are so qualified and you're so elected, or if you are appointed to do so. I mean, you look at another black person and you say you should be afraid of them because of their religion, because of their ethnicity. This is shared nonsense, and we will not allow that.
Watch your language, Mr. Seer.
You need to watch the language, man. You can't bring emotion on the platform.
Yeah. Mr. Duque, you're closing.
Yes. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you to my fellow panelists. I think it was a very lively debate. Dennis, I think on the border issue, I think it's about time the national government of Liberia handle this border issue with the seriousness that it deserves. And this ambiguity that exists now, they need to put it to rest. They need to make sure that, like I said, if this is going to cause Liberia to escalate this at the international level, there are international mechanisms that are in place to resolve these kind of disputes. So be it. Let Liberia take that path once and for all to bring this border dispute into a settlement, because this is the way things are going. Militarily, we can't measure with Guinea in any way, form, or shape. Militarily, that's not that should be out of the calculus. So I think one other thing the Liberian government needs to do, the Liberian government needs to explain this problem to the Liberian people properly, so that people are not speculating, people are not guessing. And again, if as Councillor Gonglo alluded to the fact that maybe there might be people who are implicated from the government, the government should investigate that, and whoever is found to be implicated, they must be held to account. It's as simple as that. We should not let our party affiliation, tribal affiliation, to overshadow our rational judgment to bring in this border issue to an end. And it's about time the Liberian government come out square out with the Liberian people. The president's statement on this issue was very disappointing to me. As far as I understood it, it raised more questions than answers. Dennis, as I said earlier in my previous presentation, the decision of CAF is one that we should all condemn, just like Ashraf Hakimi, who is an international player, he played for one of the best teams in the world, has come out to say what it is. He said Morocco did not win it. Morocco does not deserve it. Morocco should not accept it. And I think that is the proper course of action to take. These things have brought disrepute to the African Confederation. At the level that we never expected. We thought things was getting better, but it looks like a thing are just digressing from bad to worse. I am not one of the proponent of holidays for Muslims in Liberia. All I'm asking for, all what I have called for, is what you refer to reasonable accommodation. But reasonable accommodation is what I heard someone say today on the social media platform. There was a gentleman, I don't know what tribe he was, but he's a Muslim. He said, "Oh, for anyone who works for a Muslim, anyone who has a Muslim boss today, you have the day off. You don't have to show up to work today, because if you do, your boss is not going to be available because he's celebrating Eid and he's out there." So I'm of that opinion. That's what I support. If you're a Muslim, and a day like today, you should be allowed to stay home and celebrate. It doesn't have to be a national holiday, in my opinion. After all, I mean, this particular day, there's not a unanimity around it in terms of when we all break fast. I'm pretty sure there are people breaking fast tomorrow as well, just like there were people who broke fast yesterday. So I don't know. Again, on the side of having a Muslim holiday, I am not in support of that, but I support what I refer to as reasonable accommodation. Sometimes words matters,
You're
and
1 minute.
the people that utter these words, it matters. So I think we need to be very cautious. We need to be very sensitive when we're making certain utterances, particularly when the utterances, are related to a particular segment of our society, because it has especially when it comes from somebody who is as learned as Dr. Mali is. People tend to take it for what it is, and so we should be cautious. We should be careful. We should watch what we say, because there are people out there who are listening to us as a way of learning from this platform, learning from this panel, these panelists that come to this show. So I just want to caution all of us to be very careful as to how we say and what we say. And I want to say thank you to everybody for being here tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis, for the show. It was a pleasure being here tonight.
Thank you. One thing I should note that in the president's speech, at the minimum, he should have acknowledged a gentleman who was injured as a result of the crisis at the border and their families. At least by now, we should have some updates on that individual and see that he got wounded, fighting for our country. Well, tonight's debate revealed a common thread, whether at the Makona River, in the CAF ballroom, or in Liberia's governance. Rules, accountability, and integrity matter. Sovereignty must be defended. Institutions must be trusted, and faith must translate into ethical action. Thank you for joining from Focus on Liberia Friday Night. On behalf of the team, I'm Dennis Yar saying good night, and may God richly bless you. We are all Liberians, y'all. Let's celebrate.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.